Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor. Hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. Saints and Chargers last night from out in SoFi. It was in the hurricane, as they say. It was a hurricane rolling through Los Angeles, and simultaneously an earthquake happened. My brother-in-law's out there. He said he didn't even notice, but it happened, and the Saints and Chargers still played a preseason game. So I know there are some media members who weren't wild about that idea, but the game got played out in SoFi, and I had some takeaways from watching it last night. Of course, most of the starters did not play. You didn't see any starting quarterback action. Derek Carr, Justin Herbert sat. It was a lot of 2s and 3s and 4s for the most part between the Saints and Chargers. And because of that, I don't care that they had 150,000 penalties. It just doesn't matter to me. 14 penalties for 141 yards. So what if your ninth receiver gets called for multiple pick plays in the red zone? I mean, if Trevor Penning got 4 holding calls, I'd be like, oh, that's a big problem. If Alontae Taylor got called for pass interference 4 times, twice in the red zone, I'd be like, oh, yeah, they really need to work on that. I don't care. Some guy that's going to get cut in 2 weeks has a bunch of penalties. Who cares? And you could say, well, it's the culture in the team. No. Bad players get penalties because they can't do what they're supposed to do. And that's why they're on the 4th and 5th team and they're going to get cut. I don't care about some of the guys who are never going to make this team getting flagged for penalties. So 14 penalties for 141 yards, who cares? Now, Kendre Miller making some plays, I do care about. Because what do we talk about with Kendre Miller when they sign him? Well, he's going to kind of be the heir apparent to Alvin Kamara. You've got your between the tackles runner in Jamal Williams, and he's going to be kind of your hammer, but you need some help on the perimeter in the pass-catching game. Well, Kendre Miller didn't do a lot of that at TCU. Not that he couldn't, they just didn't ask him to. So for him to make that play laid out down the left side was really impressive. He had 3 catches, over 30 yards. I loved what I saw from Kendre Miller. Now, he didn't get a lot going in the ground game, but again, that's the second-team offensive line. So they couldn't get a push against the second-team Chargers defensive line. Whatever. I'm just not going to spend a lot of time on that. No team's championship aspirations ever come down to how good the entirety of the second-team offensive line are. But I thought that Miller's ability to catch the football in the game really stood out, and I liked that a lot. Jalen Smith kind of had his first extended action as a member of the New Orleans Saints. He was signed too late to get into the first preseason game, but he was in there last night and really looked the part. Really nice pass breakup, was active at the line of scrimmage. He's your third linebacker. You know you got DeMario, and he's going to play well. He needs to come back healthy, but you got Werner, and he needs to stay healthy. I think Jalen Smith's your next guy. And we'll see if Bond can make it and play some special teams and whatnot, but Jalen Smith is your third linebacker and looked very, very good last night. Keep in mind, he's still only 28 years old. So it's not like he's way past his prime and can't move at all. He had a nice year last year, played in both playoff games. I think Jalen Smith is a really nice add to this team and helps you with your depth. Now, this is something that I've been talking about since the beginning of camp that kind of seems settled at this point. I'm looking at the last 2 years of Will Lutz, and I'm going, this guy is not kicking well enough. We know he's coming off the injury, but then he was inconsistent. He's missing kicks under 40 yards. That ain't going to get it. And so you go get Groupie, and you say, all right, we're going to have a competition here. But when Lutz goes out, and he's perfect in the first preseason game, 3 for 3 again last night, 1 from 51 yards. Groupie was perfect too, and that's great. And Groupie had the game winner in the first preseason game, and that's awesome. But Lutz is the guy. And if he can return to the Pro Bowl form, obviously that's what you hope. If he reverts back to what he was the last 2 years, maybe you've got an insurance policy there if you can keep Groupie around. I don't know that they can, that they want to. But right now, as you look at it for the Saints season, Will Lutz is the kicker. And I think that's great because this organization has battled kickers for some time, and he's been the stalwart here. And you hope that he hadn't reached the end of the road. It appears he's in good shape. So that was great to see him 3 for 3. How about Peyton Turner? Little inside move off the edge, set the tackle up, darted inside that right shoulder, then gets the strip sack. That was a great play. The word that comes to mind when I hear Peyton Turner's name, other than IL, is flash. He flashes. Because he's so big and got such great athleticism, there are times in fall camp, in training camp, in preseason games, he does something that makes you notice him. But far too often in the regular season, he's either been a non-factor or in the training room, and it's hard to help from there. So last night to see him kind of set up that inside move and get into there for the sack, I thought it was great. I'd wish it was against the Chargers' first-team offensive line. It was not, but that's who's out there, and he overpowered him. I thought that the Peyton Turner looked good. Then you saw kind of the big storyline from the day, which was Nico Lalos going nuts in the fourth quarter, basically. 3 sacks, another TFL for 4 total, 3 QB hits. They couldn't block him. Now, it was the Chargers' third-team line, so take from it what you will. I'll personally take very little from it. I don't think Nico's making this team. You've kind of got your guys up there, and he's not one of them. Now, great that you were able to wear out the Chargers' third team. Just don't know that helps us in week 1 very much. But this is the opportunity, as we always hear, for players to make plays to showcase themselves for their next employer. The Saints kind of already know who the top 55, 56 guys are that are going to be in contention to make the team and head the practice squad. I don't think Nico Lalos is one of those. But somebody's going to look at that tape and go, you want to come practice a little bit? I feel like. I think somebody's going to make that call. I just don't put a ton of stock that it'll be the Saints. And if I'm going to be, I don't know if it's nitpicking or critical or harsh or overreactionary. I don't know. I'm watching Brian Brzee, and I'm not seeing a lot of notice me plays from Brian Brzee. Now, he's playing the interior, and sometimes his job is to take up space, take up blockers, and free up the level behind him. And I get that. But I'm also told how good a pass rusher he is. And you're playing backups on the interior of on LA's line, and I'm just not noticing much. I locked on him for some snaps, and he just kind of didn't flash much. We're using that Peyton Turner word. So far be it from me to give up on Brian Brzee. That's not what I'm talking about here. I think he's got a ton of talent, and there's a reason why everybody had him in the first round. I just wish that I had noticed a little more juice last night playing against backups. And he got a lot of run in the first half. They sat him for the second half, but he got a lot of run in the first half. I just didn't see a lot. I'm not expecting a lot from Isaiah Foskey. We've kind of heard enough about him to go, probably a next year type proposition. Probably not a guy who makes the game day roster. But Brzee is. And I just wanted a little bit more from him last night in the game. So those are kind of my notebook takes on Saints and Chargers. Don't care about penalties because none of those guys are going to play. Kendre Miller can catch the ball and showed some athleticism, which I loved. Lutz, 3 for 3 with a 51-yarder. Peyton Turner, great inside move. Great job forcing the fumble. Saints forced some turnovers last night, which is usually an issue. But I'm not going to care a ton about the penalties because they're not going to be out there. I can't care too much about the turnovers forced by some guys that may not do a lot. Now, Peyton Turner is exempt from that, so that was good. Jalen Smith, third linebacker all day. Love it. Nico Lalos, probably going to be playing for the Jets, Packers, or Steelers pretty soon. But hope he had fun. It was a big day. It's kind of fun to watch. And then I wish Brzee would have just given a little more. But the guy that you do notice out there, defensive front, and we talked to Luke about this last Thursday, Malcolm Roach continues to make some plays, get into the backfield. Just some juice from the interior line for the Saints on defense because there was none of that last year. They were a sieve. You drive a truck through some of those holes. Thinking of the Falcons game, they got to upgrade their play at defensive line, and hopefully there was some of that. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button So you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.